Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, the podcast where we explore the world one destination at a time.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Krystle.
As travel agents with fantastical vacations, we are here to share our passion for travel and help you turn your wanderlust into reality.
From hidden gems to bucket list adventures, join us as we dive into the sights, sounds, and stories of our favorite destinations.
So grab your passport, pack your bags, and let's embark on this journey together.
Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, episode 53. This is actually our year anniversary episode. Can you believe we made it this far?
Yes and no, it's flown by, but also to think that we've put out almost 60 episodes with all the bonus episodes is wild to me.
It is. And we obviously couldn't do this without our listeners, and we appreciate you consistently listening every week and, of course, sharing what you've learned with others and passing along that word. So because it's been a year, we thought we would do the similar episode that we did for our introduction episode last year. We're going to do a this or that theme park style and do a little bit of a reminder of our bios and then go through the this or that. Just to remind everybody, maybe some new listeners that haven't listened to episode 1, to give everybody a good understanding of what we're all about and who we are. To start off, I'll go first. I'm Julie. I live in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. I actually live in South Carolina, but it's kind of confusing whenever I try to say it's a suburb of Charlotte. So if you know where Charlotte, North Carolina is, that's kind of the area of the country that I live in. I have 2 daughters. They were both in middle school this year. I have one going to high school next year, which is, I can't believe it. And then my husband, we've been married for, I don't even know. I can't do the math. Since 2008. So whatever the math is on that. And then, so I think 17 years this November. And then we have 4 dogs, which is a lot of dogs, but they're all rescues. And we can't seem to stop adopting dogs whenever we see a cute one and it needs help and it's in a really bad situation. So that's kind of how we've gotten to 4 so far. And then from a travel agency standpoint, I've been a travel agent with Fantastical Vacations since 2022. I think it was like March or April. So I'm kind of going into my 4th year. Is that right? So just finished up my 3rd year anniversary. I don't even think I realized it. I just now realize now that I don't think I did a post on it. I don't think I did anything because it's been such a crazy year and so much is going on. So yay me, I made it past 3 years.
Well, my name is Krystle. I am in the Columbus, Ohio area. My husband, John, and we've been married for how many years?
I know.
I got to do the math too.
We're not mathing today.
Just about 12 years. We have 3 kids, Calder, Harper, and Reese, 9, 6, and 3. And they are our little frequent flyers. They're good little travelers. As far as me with the agency, I also did not post or realize my anniversary, but I think my anniversary is like the first part of May, and I started in 2023. So I'm going into this would be my 2nd year.
You're going into
into year 3. I just finished. Yes. Which has also been just so fun and such a whirlwind. And I don't know. I don't have any pets. I did grow up on a farm. So
and you love horses.
Yes. So there's a lot of little subtle agriculture things that make their way through if you haven't noticed. And that is why. I grew up out west, so the national parks are home. And that's why Disneyland is my home park. So I know I get that asked a lot. They're like, you're in Ohio. How come you know so much about Disneyland? Well, let me tell you, I've been there so many times. It used to be a little jaunt down the road, but not any longer. I guess that's me in a nutshell.
You ready? You want to get started on our questions?
Yes, let's do this.
Okay. So we're going to start with parks and attractions. First question, Magic Kingdom or Disneyland?
Disneyland.
Which, of course, she just answered that question.
And right now with the 70th, I'm all the merch. I'm dying. I need to be there right now.
I know. I've got to get out there too. I want to go for 70th. And also, I just want to go again because I didn't, I've only been the one time and I don't feel like I got enough out of it. So I'm But I'm going to say, like, if I had to choose between the two, because my home park is Walt Disney World, I'm going to choose Magic Kingdom. However, I definitely, like, want to get back out to Disneyland. I've got to get on Mr. Toad's at a minimum. That's going to be like my big goal is to get some 70th anniversary merch and ride Mr. Toad's. Next on the list is Hagrid's or Tron.
Hagrid's, hands down. Tron's just too short. I'm sorry. And I don't fit. So I have to sit in the side by side. So I just don't get the full experience. And it's just, yeah.
I definitely am going to go with Hagrid's. I'm sorry for all those Tron fans out there, but I think Tron's kind of lame for like the hype that it has.
Yes.
It's Hagrid's is amazing. And the first time that Krystle and I rode together, I actually rode in the sidecar and I snuck my phone on and got like this awesome video of the ride that we both like use for content all the time.
Use it all the time.
So it was so fun. And it's definitely, I mean, I think it's probably like, I mean, it's my favorite ride period at the Universal Orlando campus. I haven't been to Epic Universe yet, so that's probably like going to change. But for now, Hagrid's is definitely my favorite, and it's definitely my favorite over Tron. Okay, next one is rope drop or sleep in.
We rope drop all the time. You get so much done in that first like half hour before everybody else decides to roll out of bed that it is more worth it to us to rope drop.
Agree. We're rope droppers too. As much as that is so getting up early is the complete opposite of my personality. I have zero desire to get up early ever. But when it comes to Disney World, Disneyland, Universal, like getting up and getting to the parks early, because most other people don't really want to get up early either. You just get so much more done. And the parks are just not as full of people. And especially if you're going in to any of the Florida parks, it's cooler. You know, it's not as hot yet. Regardless of what time of year you're there, it's almost always hot in Florida. So definitely rope drop. Water rides or thrill rides?
Oh, I love a good water ride by hate being wet. So thrill rides, I guess, unless it's Tiana's. I love that ride. Like I love the log plume.
I mean, I guess Tiana's is a water ride. Other than Tiana's, I'm like absolutely anti water rides. Don't ask me to get on a water ride. Somehow my children talk me into getting on Cali River Rapids. I feel like every single trip, and after every single time, I'm like, really, why? Why did I just do that? And Krystle tried to get me on water rides when we were at Universal back in February, and I was like, no, it's not happening.
Well, I've never been on Cali River still. Although I will do Grizzly River at California Adventure all day long.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's literally the same ride. Last summer, I was very against it. I was not. I complained the entire time that we were in line, but the girls wanted me to ride the Popeyes ride at Universal. Never again. Like no one. You could probably try to bribe me with money, and it would have to be a large sum of money to get me on this ride again because you were soaked. You might as well have just dunked yourself underwater in a pool or a lake or whatever.
I've never seen anybody get off that ride dry.
It's so bad. And they do have these little like dryer things that basically just blow hot air on you. No, they were not very effective. So I tried to do those and they didn't really work. Yeah, definitely a thrill ride person over a water ride person. I love any of the roller coasters at any of the parks. I'm down for those. Lightning lane or wait and standby?
Lightning lane? That's not even a question. We always do lightning lane. Like even in Epcot and everybody's like, oh, you don't need it in Epcot. Yes, we are absolutely getting it at Epcot because I'm not waiting in line with tired, cranky children. As few times as possible as I have to. So yeah.
I agree. I'm on the same page. I think I'm to the point definitely in my life where I'm gonna pay for the convenience of not waiting in line. I know that a lot of times the lightning lane that you have to pay for it gets a lot of griping people. People gripe about that. But, you can ride twice as many rides and get more out of your day. You've already spent all this money to be there. Like, what's an extra, like, couple $100 a day?
Yes.
Not everybody feels that way, and I get it, but that's definitely my stance on it.
All right, let's move to food and snacks. Would you rather Dole Whip or Butterbeer?
I love them. I do love them both, but I'm going to choose Butterbeer over Dole Whip. If it's frozen butterbeer, for sure.
I do like a frozen butterbeer. I am going to choose Dole Whip and the Tropical Serenade all day long. Next, if you've been here at all, you should be able to answer this. Character dining or quick service?
I'm going to choose character dining. I love it. I love my characters. I love sitting and just chilling for like, I don't know, like an hour and having that experience, that dining experience. I love it.
So nothing against character dining. We will do one here and there, but we are quick service through and through. Mobile order, one entree, share it, move on. That's what we're doing. Epcot Festival food or Universal Mardi Gras booths?
I'm definitely going to go with Epcot just because they have so much more options. When we visited the Mardi Gras booths in February, there weren't that many. It just felt very small. The food that we had was good, but if I'm going to choose which one to use, I'm going to choose Epcot because there's so much more variety. I think Universal's getting better at it, but Disney's much better at posting and having gluten-free options available. And it's very clearly labeled. It's very obvious. And so I just feel more comfortable from that perspective.
I agree. I'm also going to choose Epcot. I also really like with Epcot that it's kind of spread out. So you can like eat one and walk a little ways before you get to the next one. Where Mardi Gras, I felt like they were all in one like little city block. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to like eat one and go do a ride, you had to come back to that little
That
square.
section. Yeah. Agree. Totally agree.
Pretzel or churro?
Well, I can't look at the typical options. I can't really have either one of those. They do have a gluten-free churro in Animal Kingdom. So I'm going to choose that for that reason. But I think if I were able to eat one or the other, I would go for the pretzel in Germany because it's so good. I'm not able to eat that anymore. So I'll kind of by default have to choose the churro.
The only correct answer here is a Disneyland churro. And only a Disneyland churro. I could use a couple of those in my life right now. Next is kind of in line with another question we already had, but table service splurge or stack up snacks?
I'm going to do table service. For the most part, I would rather do table service if I had to pick between the two.
Disney does so good in the snack department. So that's what I'm going with. Small bites all day.
I just think that maybe it's just me, and maybe it's also my family. Like, maybe we just don't feel like we've actually had something to eat unless we've like really like had to sit down and taken the time to eat something. We are snacking all day. You're eating, but you don't ever feel like full, I guess is the best way to put it. And so I think that's, at least from my perspective, I think that's why we like to do sit down.
Well, it's funny because at home, I'm not a grazer at all. Like I might have one mid-afternoon snack, but I'm like, I need a meal. But at Disney, it's like, I'll just graze.
Okay. The next category is resorts and planning. Monorail loop resort or a Skyliner resort?
Probably Skyliner because there's more options. We have a good mix of your all three levels. And you have better access to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. So it's just more going for you, where the monorail is kind of limited. And you have to transfer, like, get off and walk. And I guess you have to transfer on Skyliner too. But that walk is like 15 feet, not like
It's not big. Yeah.
up and down a ramp and up and down another ramp. And yeah, so Skyliner.
Me too. Which everybody, if you've listened to this show, you know that my favorite is Riviera. So I'm gonna pick that anyway. And we're very partial to the Skyliner. It's just so easy to use. Okay. Well, this one is just a ridiculous question. Stay on site or save money off site?
Well, I guess it depends on when we're talking. We were just talking about this before we started recording. Disney World, stay on site, hands down, every time. No questions asked. Disneyland, it's not a big deal to stay off site, but you are missing out on the magic. So if I could swing staying at the Grand Californian every time, then definitely on property. But the Courtyard or the Howard Johnson are just, they work just.
Yeah, no, right across the street.
Yeah.
However, regardless, I completely agree with Krystle with Walt Disney World and also with Universal. I feel like any of the resorts that are in that Orlando area, staying on site is key. And to be honest, you might save money on your maybe nightly rate, but then you end up sitting in traffic. So you're losing time that you could be in the parks. You end up paying for parking. And you also lose out on some of the benefits of being able to reserve your lightning lanes early, you also lose the benefit of being able to reserve your dining or your full stay at the 60-day mark. There's so many benefits to staying
Early
on
entry.
site. Oh, yeah, early entry, exactly. There's just so many benefits to it that it's not always you have to look at the full cost of everything and not just the nightly cost of the resort because and a lot of times you can if you're able to stay at Pop Century or All-Star, you're getting a very similar rate and you're getting the benefits of staying on site. Definitely on site at Disney World. Same and again similar with the Universal Orlando resorts as well. We stayed off site
Yeah,
this
definitely
summer.
Universal. It's too hard to stay outside at Universal too.
It,
Like it's
it
so
is.
difficult.
It is. Having to Uber to City Walk, it was a struggle to do that when we did that last summer. I learned the hard way that, like, even with Universal Orlando, it's really way better to stay on site. Okay. Plan everything or go with the flow.
A mix of both. I don't like to like schedule everything. I like to have kind of like a basic outline of like our must-dos
Mm-hmm.
and then go with the flow in between because if you don't go with the flow a little bit, I feel like you miss out on a lot of the magic. But you need some sort of structure. So even if it's just like we got to do this in the morning, we have this reservation for food and we're going to do this show or parade, just so you have kind of some things to look forward to, set in stone, general idea.
Yeah, I agree. When I saw this one, I was like, can't really, I can't really pick, but I can't pick one or the other because I think you do need to combine the two of them. It's very difficult to just show up to any of the parks and not lose out on or basically waste a lot of time trying to figure out what you're doing if you just show up. Park hopper or one park per day?
It's going to vary a lot depending on where I'm at and who I'm with. Usually, like if we're saying family travel and I have my kids at Walt Disney World, we're doing one park per day. If I'm at Disneyland or if I'm at Universal, I'm park hopping because it's just so easy to do. If it's just John and I at Walt Disney World, we've been enough that it's easy to park hop and we don't have to worry about like a stroller and stuff. But if it's your first time, I'd say one park per day for the most part, unless you're at Universal. Always do the park to park.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Definitely with the main campus of Universal. It's similar in the design of Disneyland where you can just walk back and forth. It's very easy. And you also don't get to use the Hogwarts Express if you don't have their park to park option. Because my girls are older, we're always going to do park hopper, like regardless of what park we're in. But like Krystle said, I think when kids are younger, it's a lot for them to go between parks if you're at Disney World, just because Disney World is so big. And it's like, it's like a 45-minute to an hour endeavor if you're going from one park to the other at Disney World. And that's just a lot for a little kid. And it's easier to just stay where you are. But we love Park Hopper, especially staying on the Skyliner, regardless of what park we go to, during the day. It's very easy to hop on the Skyliner and go over to Epcot and do maybe dinner or fireworks or whatever at the end of the day or at the end of the night.
All right. Personal preference. Would you rather Disney nostalgia or Universal thrills?
I'm probably going to always go with Disney nostalgia. I just can't help myself. I get like really choked up with the emotion at Disney, the story behind Walt Disney and his dream and all of the things that he put into Disneyland and then building out the park in Florida. It's always going to get me.
I agree. And the older I get, the more prone I get to motion sickness. So it's hard to do a bunch of the thrills back to back. So to spread them out and have some of the Disney stuff in between saves my life. A solo trip or group trip?
I'm probably always want to go with someone. It doesn't have to be like a large group, but I like to experience the things with people. And just in general, I just would rather be with other people. Not that I don't like every once in a while like to just like go and walk around the park by myself to get maybe content or just be, by myself. But if I'm going somewhere, I want to go with someone and share the experience.
I agree. I don't know if I've ever truly been on a solo trip because
Hmm.
like I'm meeting up with other agents or we have the family. So I probably kind of feel kind of lost on a solo trip. So group, usually probably family. It's just so magical to be there with my children.
I think last year at our agency trip last summer, I was there like one day before you were there, and I had like an actual like day by myself, and it was weird. I mean, it just was, you know. So although it was nice to like not necessarily have a plan or I could just like do whatever, at the same time it was kind of weird not to have a plan and to
Yeah.
not have other people with me. And like you said, like I felt kind of lost. Like it was just very weird. So
Fireworks or nighttime shows?
fireworks, not that I don't love Phantasmic. I'm thinking of obviously Disney shows, but there's just something about the fireworks shows that combine, the fireworks and the lights or the projections and the music and all of it together. It kind of goes back to that Disney nostalgia. It just like brings all of that out and all of that emotion out, and it just gives you all the feels, and I love them.
Yeah, they've done such a good job with the music, like choreographed to the fireworks lately, that it's hard to not say the fireworks.
Yeah.
Although Phantasmic is such a classic, but it's kind of like a one and done.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I did like it, but I could watch Happily Ever After like multiple times, and I would be completely, I mean, I could go back again and again. And I think the current Luminous, the current Epcot show is really, really good. It definitely pulls on your heartstrings. I thought I was going to make it through without crying, and I didn't whenever we went. So, yeah, definitely fireworks for me.
Are you a parade watcher, or would you rather ride rides during the parades?
I would rather watch the parade for the same reason that I love fireworks and the Disney nostalgia. Like I love the songs, and I know that there's some parades that maybe could use some refreshing, but I love to see the characters come around. And to be honest, I hope this doesn't make me sound like creepy, but I love to watch the little kids that are around me because my girls don't really care as much anymore. They don't get as excited because they've been going since they were little. But I love to watch the little kids get excited about their favorite character that's coming around. Just see the excitement on their face.
I like a good parade, but only the first handful of times. Like Festival of Fantasy, I've seen that so many times that's like, well, if I see it from afar, it's fine. But like the new nighttime parade at Disneyland, like I would be staked out for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I think it just kind of depends and who I'm with and what they want to see. If like one of my kids is on like I need to see all the princesses, well, one of the only times they're going to see all the princesses is in the parade. So
Well, you know me with Festival of Fantasy, like I could like jump out and like do the dances with the cast members and sing the song. So to the embarrassment of my children, but I'd love it. I can't help it. The next one. So we're gonna start going into more podcast type specific questions. It's not as much of a this or that. It's more specific questions about things that we love or we prefer. The first one is talk about your first Disney or Universal memory, or both of them.
My first Disney memories, they all kind of run together from when I was little. So I don't know which trip was like actually first. But I remember we'd always go with my mom's like extended family. So like grandpa, a bunch of the cousins. So like I remember, I don't even know which hotel it was. I remember standing outside as a large group and we all had our matching shirts on. And there were like these big topiaries that were in the shape of Disney characters at Disneyland, waiting for the bus to get there. My little brother was in a stroller and he was so sick that trip, but he was like only like 2. So I had to have been 4 or 5. But I remember getting like a mini Smash Nickel, which is probably where my Smash Penny obsession started with. I still have that somewhere. And I don't know if it was that same trip or a different trip, but I remember sitting on Main Street watching the electric light. What is the Disneyland, the OG, the electrical light parade at night? Don't even remember what it was called, but I remember sitting with a couple of my cousins and just watching that. And I remember exactly where we were sitting and what side of Main Street. So just like things like that.
Yeah, it's just the Main Street Electrical Parade.
Yes, that one. So lots of good memories.
For me, at Walt Disney World, I did take a trip with my family I don't know what year it was. And I'm not going to tell you because that'll tell you how old I am. So we're not going to talk about that. But believe it was the summer of my 4th grade year. But we all went down as a family with my parents and my brother and sister. And at that time, it was just Magic Kingdom and Epcot. I very vividly remember the monorail. I don't know why that like stands out to me. I mean, we have pictures of us in front of the castle and things like that, but I remember because going back and forth between Magic Kingdom and Epcot using the monorail. And to be honest, like I don't know if it's because like that was the transportation because it was just those two parks and they didn't even have they didn't have buses. I'm not sure. And I remember that it was really hot because it was in July, and I remember getting on the monorail and felt so good to get into the air conditioning. I don't know why. I also remember Spaceship Earth, like that stood out to me, that ride in general. I know Krystle always kind of jokes about like when she got to Disney World the first time and she got on it and she was like, "What is this? And why do people care about this? And why do people like this?" But for me, it's definitely, has definitely some nostalgia with it. I remember that from when I was a kid. And I think most people love that ride. It has a lot to do with that, is that it was something that they remember in their childhood. And it's in the big like Epcot ball and it's just a symbol of Epcot. Like my first memory of Universal was meeting Krystle for the first time because we hadn't met before.
That's right.
And it was also hot as blazes and
Blazing
like
hot.
literally I think I had just almost had a complete meltdown and I hadn't even like done anything yet because it was so hot and I was trying to figure out where she was because it was the first time me like maneuvering Universal. I knew where she was. I mean, she told me where she was, but I didn't know how to get there. And I'm trying to get out of the sun because my phone is literally overheating and it's giving me like the temperature warning that it's going to shut off because it's so hot. And I'm trying to look at the map and figure out where I am. And I remember trying to like step to the side to like get in the shade. I was across from the Mummy ride and just trying to figure out like where do I need to go to find where she is. And of course, then I was like in somebody's way. Yeah, it was a whole thing. And then I finally figured it out and I got to the night bus, which is where she was sitting. And then after that, it was just a very pleasant experience. I was very stressed trying to figure out where I was.
And it's so crazy that we had done 2 months of a podcast and hadn't met in person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Next question. What ride do you secretly hate?
I don't know because I'm pretty vocal with things I don't
I was
like.
going to say, I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say. I'm like, you're not really secret about this.
Maybe Rise or Millennial Falcon. Is that what you thought I was going to say?
No, I thought you were going to say Haunted Mansion for some reason.
I could take or leave Haunted Mansion, but a whole new single rider at Rise of the Resistance is a game changer. But previously, like the last 4 times we'd been, my husband will buy the individual single pass, whatever it's called now, for he and the kids. And I just am like, yeah, it's not worth it. I don't like it. I don't care.
Yeah. They definitely need to refresh it. I think if they refreshed it and they did something different, then I would be a little bit like more on board with it.
What's this ride you secretly hate?
Living with the Land.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
I mean, other than if like at the holidays, I do like all of the decorations. I do like to do that. But like otherwise, I don't I could never ride that again and not care. Okay. What does your dream park day look like?
Basically, that we could get everything in that we wanted to, and nothing would break down, and we didn't have to wait in any lines, and there were no meltdowns and no hangries, and we could go rope drop to park lows, and it just still feel refreshed, and my feet feel light, and I don't know, just getting in what we wanted to get in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I look back on like my last couple trips, and I've been like just kind of like so over the place that I'll like go home that night and be like, I rode one ride today, and I feel so disappointed because it's like I only rode like what was I doing all day?
Yeah, but you've also like a lot of our trips, like at least the ones that we've done together and the ones that you did for the what was it, the gold earmarks.
Yeah.
That was with other agents and you were when you're there, I think a lot of times our husbands too, like and our kids, like they don't get it. Like we truly are there working. Like we're not riding rides. We like you said, we might get 1 or 2 rides in. Otherwise, we are getting content, we're attending training, we're doing like room tours or resort tours or something. Like we don't really get a lot of park time.
Yeah.
So for me, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, I don't like to get up early. So if I were able to not get up early and sleep into whenever I felt like it and just show up whenever I feel like it and not have to deal with all of the crowds and basically get the similar like rope drop experience where it's low crowds, the weather's not like crazy hot. I could maybe have a character breakfast at Topolino's or Ohana's and just mosey my way over to whatever park that I'm going to and be able to do pretty much whatever I want, get in, have a, low wait times and just walk on or, very, very low wait and just not like a ton of crowds so that it's not overwhelming and get most of what we want to get done that day. And kind of samesies with that perspective. And then same thing if I'm talking about Universal, same thing, breakfast at Three Broomsticks or Leaky Cauldron, and just be able to just do whatever I feel like and not have to wait for 2 hours to get on Hagrid's.
Yes, I agree.
What is your go-to travel outfit?
Well, my go-to like park outfit is usually biker shorts and then like an oversized, usually vintage Disney t-shirt. I always feel bad when I go to Universal because I don't have like I can't find good vintage Universal t-shirts, but I always wear some sort of themed. And then I usually have like a crossbody and good pair of sneakers, my On Clouds or some good Adidas. I switch back and forth. I'm pretty simple and all my pictures look the same with different color combinations.
Yeah, same thing. I'm going to do something that hopefully is the most comfortable, but also like not too hot, especially if it's depending on the time of year that it is. I'm going to do more than likely like capri leggings or a skirt with Disney or Universal IP t-shirt or some type of, shirt. And then for shoes, I like to wear some type of sandal. So I had this sandal that's like a Skechers sandal and it had like the rubber sole. So was very much like a sneaker type bottom. So it was very comfortable, but it was open because a lot of times I get hot when I wear sneakers. Like it just because, you lose heat through your feet. So it makes me hot to have my feet enclosed. So I'd prefer to wear sandals, some kind of comfy sandal that's not going to rub my feet, not going to give me a blister. So that's typically what I'm wearing. And then same thing with a bag. Definitely something on the smaller side. I used to be the opposite where I wanted to pack every single possible thing. And I've just gotten to the point where I don't want to do that anymore and I don't care. And if I need something, I'll go buy it. I don't want to carry around a big backpack. I just don't. And so I'd rather have something that's small that has like my money and sunglasses and maybe like a couple things like a small sunscreen or a smaller water bottle or something like that. But I just don't want to carry a bunch of stuff. Just a pain. We might both answer the same thing for this one.
I was going to say this. We could probably say it on 3 and we'd both say the exact same thing.
What ride would you never do again?
Forbidden Journey.
Yep. Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. I was just actually talking to my sister-in-law. We're actually visiting family right now in Indiana, and they've done Disney multiple times, but they've not done Universal. And I was talking to her about, like, you guys should really try to go, especially with Epic Universe opening. But she is similar to me in that she gets motion sickness and she cannot do super crazy rides. And I'm actually, at least if I take Dramamine or I have my relief band on, I'm typically okay. So for the most part, I don't have any issues as long as I have those. But the Forbidden Journey ride, like it took both of us out. Like it was bad. So I told her, I was like, I said, go through the ride queue because it is fun because you're inside the castle. And if you've never done that before, go through the ride queue and see it. But then once you get to the front of the line, you need to like, okay, hard pass. I'm getting out. I'm getting out right now. I need to leave.
All right. Podcast specific questions. What has been your most favorite episode to record?
So I try to think through these. My brain is very tired right now, but I was really trying to think through if I had a specific favorite episode. I don't think that I have a favorite one specifically, but I have a favorite type. And I feel like I like the ones when we're not as scripted, that we're able to just talk about things. I think it shows both like our knowledge of the parks and the travel experience, and it also shows our personalities. And I think we have a lot of fun and we laugh a lot when we talk about those things. So I think those types of episodes I tend to enjoy more. I also really like when we are able to have on a guest and to get their perspective on things, because we both, especially since we've been doing this for a year, for the most part, I feel like I know, like when we talk about things, I know kind of what to expect. I know what you're going to say, or I know what your perspective is, and probably vice versa. But when we have guests on and hearing their perspectives and hearing like what they've had experience with and things like that, I think it's nice to have that as well.
I agree. Our guest episodes are always so fun. And I always feel like I walk away learning so much,
Hmm.
even though it's usually like a topic that we are still well versed on. But it's like, oh, okay. What has been your biggest learning moment this year?
I would say that probably for the podcast and also as a travel agent, trying to embrace that everybody's on their own journey and not to necessarily compare myself to others. I'm very competitive. I think Krystle and I both are pretty competitive. I'm very hard on myself, and I like to come across as having things completely like all my ducks in a row. And, that's not always the case. And I think just truly embracing that sometimes that's okay. It's okay. You don't have to, everything doesn't have to be perfect. And a lot of times people appreciate you being genuine and over you being perfect. And so coming to learning that lesson and kind of letting go of the concept of constant perfection. I'm still on that journey. I'm still learning, but I think this past year, for whatever reason, especially with working with Krystle on a weekly basis and us sharing things together, and also our agency owners are extremely inspiring as well. So all of those things kind of combined have helped me a lot.
I would also say that you've come a very long. She edits all of our stuff, and just like podcast wise, those first couple of episodes. Now we thought we were doing a great job, but now we go back and listen and we cringe because we're like, what? Like, what were we talking about? I just feel like we really kind of found a groove.
Hmm.
I've had to do better not talking over her because I am bad at that. But just like our overall knowledge, I feel like this has forced us like out of this little box to like expand.
Oh, truly.
It's been helpful as an agent. So if there's a topic that we aren't as well versed on, because guys, there are so many resorts, there all are so many all inclusives, there are so many like ways to do things. So our topics kind of like push us out of our like little normal way of doing things. So I just feel like we've become better agents because of it.
Agree.
If you can pinpoint one, I'm going to be shocked. Funniest behind the scenes moment.
There's a lot of them, and because I do the editing, it's funny because I get to giggle through them, and sometimes there's actually been a couple of instances where I've been like, you know what, I'm leaving this in because it was so freaking funny, and who cares? And both of us were laughing, and it shows our personalities. But I think one of the things that it just makes me giggle is Krystle gets really uncomfortable whenever there's something that's in a different language, like Spanish or French or whatever, and there's
Because I can't say it.
I mean, she does a much better job than she realizes, but it's just funny because there's been a couple of times that like I unintentionally like for whatever reason the order that we're going in for that episode, that like those super difficult like to pronounce words land with her turn, and she just gives me this face like, are you freaking kidding me?
Well, I've gone to the point now that I will, like, if I'm reading like a news release with Disney or something, I will read up until the word I can't pronounce, and then I pause, and Julie will just have to say a word, and then I continue.
But sometimes, like a lot of times, I'll cut that stuff out. I'll cut out some of it. Some of it I do leave because it's so funny, but it just makes me laugh. But there's all kinds of like, there's plenty of times whenever, for whatever reason, one of us just cannot say whatever the sentence is. Like we just can't get it out, and it's not necessarily like it's a scripted sentence. It's just we can't get our thoughts together, and we mess it up like 4 times. And we finally get it, on like maybe the third or fourth or fifth try, but I listen to that and it makes me laugh. But, and I'll cut out the ones where we've completely can't, or like tongue tied. But yeah, those always make me laugh.
Well, and a lot of people probably don't realize we do this over Zoom. So we can see each other and
Mm-hmm.
we feed off of being able to see each other. And there's times that we just kind of give each other like this look of confusion of like, what are you even talking about? The one that comes to mind is the Indiana Jones thing in Epcot.
It was real. It was a thing.
And I've checked, and I can't find anything in the African Outpost about Indiana Jones.
I promise it was there. In 2017. Somebody help me
So,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
I do appreciate that we find something to giggle and laugh about every week. It's the highlight of my week is sitting and chit-chat with Julie and laughing. Maybe you already answered this, but what is something surprising that you've learned about me or that we've learned about each other?
I don't necessarily think this is surprising per se, but it's something that I've definitely learned over the last year, that Krystle is so much more of like a creative mom than I am. Like when we talk about the stuff that she does
Stop.
to like organize her children on trips and the little like hacks that she comes up with, I'm like, where were you like 10 years ago? Because the stuff that you come up with, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I didn't do that for my kids. You know, they just had to like suck it up and deal, you know, and Krystle has this like little hack that she uses, and it just always amazes me. Like every time we're talking through things and she'll throw out something that she does. And I'm like, that's so smart. Why didn't I think of that?
Oh, you're ridiculous. I don't think I realized how bougie you were.
I'm not bougie? Am I bougie? I guess I am bougie sometimes.
Sometimes.
Oh, that's funny.
Not in a bad way, but there's been times that we'll talk through things and you're like, no, that's not for me.
I think, like I was saying, like, I think I've just gotten to a point, like, in my life that I'm like, I don't want to deal with, like, inconveniences if possible, And so I don't want to put up with those types of things, And so it probably comes across as like, I'm like bougie. Oh, that's funny.
It's not a bad thing.
I do have to tell you, this is like really, really quick because sometimes I like get off on tangents and I try not to too much. But it's funny that you say that because I've probably passed that along a little bit to my children because Lena just went on her 8th grade DC trip and she was telling me when she got back that she had a good time. But one of the very first things that she commented on was the hotel. And she was like, it was so disgusting, Mom. I had to sleep on top of the comforter and I just had a blanket and I just used that. I did not like get under the covers because it was so gross and the bathroom was so disgusting. And so yeah, they were staying at a Best Western, which is not a bad hotel chain, but she's like, it was something like, it was called this like Best Western or something. Like the way that she said it was like it was some like hole in the wall, and I'm sure it was completely fine. It was a nice place to stay. I'm sure they would not have taken him anywhere gross, but because
The product of the Riviera.
she's used to staying in a certain type of hotel. So it just made me laugh when she said that. I was like, ooh, that might be my fault or my influence. Whoopsies. Okay, so moving on to our last group of questions. What's something that your followers might not know about you?
That I'm probably an unorganized mess behind the scenes.
Oh, please. All lies. All lies.
I don't know. That there's a lot of, so right now we've been in a good stretch where we have like our episodes planned out. Like we had like 2 months of episodes planned out of what we're going to talk about. But there's a lot of times that's like night before we record and we're texting each other. What are we talking about tomorrow?
What are we doing?
Did we decide on a topic?
What about you? Like that you talk. What about when we talked about a little bit earlier that like you lived in Utah or you grew up in Utah and you did a lot of like camping and like outdoorsy stuff. Like
Yes.
people may not realize that about
That is probably a big thing about me is I did grow up on a farm and ranch. My family still works and lives working the same land. And some of my favorite moments are like camping so deep into the mountains that you can only get there on horseback. And we would pack everything in on mules and horses. And that was some of the best times. And we would go places that you can't get anywhere else unless you hiked 10 miles. But you're not going to have the same luxury as. So people like are like, hey, do you want to hike? And it's like, no, give me a horse because I know the convenience of an additional 4 legs.
Yeah. Especially those mules that are trained to like be on that, and horses, that are trained also to walk that rough terrain that I would probably like fall into a canyon or something if I try to do it. And they are just like, I'm fine. It's no big deal.
Yes. So because of that, my husband doesn't let me do any kind of like horse excursions anywhere we go. But it's probably for the right because I never wore a helmet, and all these places make you wear a helmet. So I'd probably be like, this is stupid. I know more than you. Except for the trail ride in Bryce Canyon. Some personal friends of ours growing up, they have been grandfathered in to actually ride inside of Bryce Canyon, which you can't even do that anymore. And the places that those mules take you, and it's like you said, it's like a little 2-foot trail
It's
that you're
crazy.
looking down canyon on both sides of you. But it's the best way to see the park because you are going places that you literally can't hike there. They don't let you hike out that far.
That's crazy to me that what those mules and horses do. It's insane.
So yeah, that's a big part of my life.
I would probably say, because I don't know if I've talked about this before on the podcast. I lived in Spain for a summer semester or summer term when I was in college. I actually have an undergrad degree in Spanish. Not super fluent now because I haven't used it a lot, but for a long time I was very, very fluent, and I could definitely hold my own still if I needed to. I would be able to communicate. But that was, I think it was my junior, like the summer before my junior year, maybe. And that was amazing and taught me so much about just being outside of my comfort zone and also appreciating other cultures and that the world doesn't revolve around the United States like many people think that it does. There are actually other countries that function really well and, have their own way of doing things. And it was a good experience. It was actually the first time that I ever flew as well. I flew across, you know, the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, the very first time that I flew. So
That's not nerve-wracking at all.
I was fine, but I was also, I was like, I don't know, like
An
22
adult. Yeah.
or something. Yeah. It was probably nerve wracking for my parents, but okay. What is a hidden talent or something that you're totally unrelated that you're obsessed with?
Probably not hidden, but I have an obsession with online shopping. I feel like I have like this very good like eye, and like I have like this picture in my mind, and like I can come up with like a park outfit, and I can like piece it together and like find the perfect pieces. Or like with my house, like I'm obsessed with decorating, and like I can go put something together and make it look great without decision paralysis most of the time.
Hmm.
Although I have sent Julie some pictures and been like, A or B, A or B.
Yeah, you're so creative. So definitely like anything that has to do with like visuals or like creative, even like putting together like a creative like post of like the wording and like the way that everything like fits together. I always feel like a complete idiot, and Krystle just like throws it together. I'm like, whatever, it's fine. I can't do that. Since I was saying, I'm traveling and we're staying in a hotel, and I was looking at these questions last night. Like I said, my brain's kind of fried. So I thought I would just ask my family what they think, or a couple of them. And this was one of them. They came back with Harry Potter, which is true. I love Harry Potter. I love all things Harry Potter. British true crime, really true crime in general, but I definitely like British true crime better. I don't know what it is about it, but I definitely like British true crime. And then what I threw in there, and they all agreed with me, was napping. I love napping.
Oh, I love that too. 3 p.m. every day, I can find a snoozing spot
Yeah.
unless I'm on vacation. Well, unless I'm in a theme park. If I am at
Hmm.
the beach, I'm snoozing on the beach at 3 o'clock every day.
Yeah. I don't get to do napping I don't get to do as much napping as I want to, but it would definitely be like, it's definitely my jam. I love to nap. It's the best thing ever. Okay. What would be your park superpower?
If someone were to call me, and actually this happens quite frequently with some of my travelers, they'll call me and be like, I'm here. I need to get to here. And I can like not even pull up a map and just like walk them there. I I also feel like we're pretty good at like walking through the park quickly
Hmm.
and like dodging people. I probably learned that from my dad, but just like kind of like weaving through traffic without like hitting people, but getting there quickly. So like after fireworks, we all kind of just get in a line behind me, and I kind of just like weave it through.
Oh, that's funny. You know, I asked my family this one too. I asked what my superpower was at the parks, and they said your Disney walk. Basically, it's very similar to what Krystle just said because I like take off and I know where I'm going because I know the parks like the back of my hand, and I know the best way to get there. I know where to cut through. I know and I see holes, where I can get through people, and they actually often complain that I leave them behind, but I'm like, you know that I'm gonna go. You need to keep up. Like, come on.
Well, then they can't go to the park with me because I have twice as long of legs as you do, and I feel like I have to slow down so I don't leave you.
I'm usually running behind Krystle. I'm at like a jog. I definitely felt like that whenever I don't remember what we were doing, but I was you and me and Cassie, and you were in the front. And I feel like Cassie and I were like, I mean, Cassie's a little bit taller than me, but I think both of us were like kind of run walking because we were
Probably getting over Tiana's because I also have a mission because I had to get to the airport. So I was also like on a
mission.
quicker pace. Like, we got to get this done now.
But I'm the shortest person in my family, except for maybe Ella. And I still like outpace all of them because I know where I'm going and I'm on a mission to get to wherever I'm going. And so they joke with me about that. Okay. So our last question, what is your dream guest for year 2?
Oh, I don't know. I also don't want to publicly put it out there because I don't want people to see it. TBD. I don't know. It's always kind of like a last minute, like, hey, I asked someone to be on the podcast. Are you okay with it?
Yeah, she has done that to me a couple of times. She's like, what would you think about this person coming on? I'm like, that sounds great. She's like, great. I've already asked them. Like, okay. It's totally fine. Like, it's fantastic. And we like Krystle was saying earlier, sometimes we can be a little last minute, and we've been a little bit better about planning things. So we've had some stuff planned out, and it helps to have, be able to ask our guests, like, can you be on this day? Because we know that we have a hole, or we're just, for whatever reason, it like makes sense to have them on for that day. I had a couple, and like these are dreams, so just hear me out here. Well, the first one I think we could probably do. I'm guessing we could maybe make happen. But I was thinking doing one with Dan and Leslie and doing something similar to what we're doing today, where we basically like all of us like answer questions and just like getting their feedback, like getting their like off the cuff responses, because they're so knowledgeable and they've done so much travel. So like hearing them and their perspective, I think that would be fun.
Wait, hold on. So for anybody who doesn't know, Dan and Leslie are our agency owners, but they also are addicted to the mouse.
Yes.
So
they started as addicted to the mouse. So they had Addicted to the Mouse, I think, for like maybe a year at least before they started the agency, something like that. So yeah, they started Addicted to the Mouse first. And then my other, and these are like literally pie in the sky, probably would never ever happen, but I would be like fangirling like all over the place if they were able to come on. One of them is Molly McAwesome, which that's not her real last name, but that's her IG handle. And she was originally on All Ears. She's part of All Ears YouTube. And they're not just, I mean, they also have like newsletters and things like that, but she did a ton of stuff with them. And then she branched off, off by herself. And it's herself and her husband and one of their really good friends that they do the Mammoth Club. I feel like she's just like really genuine, which is why she's become so popular, and why people love her, because she's not, I don't know, she's just herself and gives her genuine reactions, and she truly loves the different parks. There's just nothing fake about her. And then the other person, and for the same reason, I think that he's like super genuine.
I know this one.
You do? I'm just gonna say Theme Park Dad. I love him.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Lynn.
Oh my God. Yeah, I would never get. I don't know. I think that was like even way like. But I love Theme Park Dad. He's the sweetest guy, and he's absolutely genuine. He was on the Happiest podcast for a while. He's branched out. He's done a couple of other podcasts, but I don't necessarily listen to those podcasts anymore just because I'm so busy. But he's just very, very genuine, and I follow him on Instagram, and I see things happening. But he's similar, very similar in. I think that he would be very fun to have on, and I would be fangirling for both of them. But yeah, Lynn Testa is another one that I would absolutely have a heart attack if I actually like spoke to him. He's such a nerd. He's like total data nerd, and I love it. He completes
That's what
me.
I thought you were gonna say.
No,
Those are some good ones. Definitely.
But I felt like Dan and Leslie were like more like actually something that would be reachable, and then the other two are like doubtful. Like those are definitely like dream pie in the sky options. But I would be so excited if that would ever happen. But
Well, I'm curious if anybody would like to share their favorite episode. So if you have one of our favorite episodes, let us know, and maybe also send it to a friend, because for year 2, we really want more people to hear us and what we have to say and to grow. And we can't do that without you guys and your ratings and your reviews and your shares and your ideas. Like, some of our best episodes have been listener ideas. So
agree. Please keep sending them. We love hearing them. We love hearing your thoughts, listeners, and just for thank you
happy
for
birthday.
yeah, happy birthday. Thank you all for listening for a whole year, and we're looking forward to year 2 and lots of new content and fun things coming your way. We hope everybody has a fantastic week. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wanderlust and Wishes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy travels.
Bye for now.